Welcome to Getting Ghosted, an intuitive, soul collective podcast. I'm your host, Allie Horner. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am excited to dive into this episode. It's a little bit more focused on mediumship and the afterlife, just kind of continuing from last week. Last week was all about things that are going on in the afterlife, how things work for them, and what's going on. And they do want to share some messages with us. And then I thought I would pick a couple of questions that we got on some of my videos from last week and some that some people submitted, and thought that the guides could come in and answer these questions about the afterlife and all of that fun stuff. So without further ado, here we go. Now I've got my guides here, and Erik and Sam, I'm seeing Grace. I've got all of these wonderful guides and people coming in. I'm also seeing a group coming in yellow, and it's more like the larger teams of light, a larger collective energy. And they said, we want to talk to you about what's going on in the afterlife right now. And they said, so we have had a group of people who are being born on this planet, and they're showing me the Earth from way, way, way out in the solar system. Like it's like a little teeny speck, and then it's slowly zooming in. And they said, we have a large group of beings who are being born on this planet, many of which will have more psychic, intuitive, and telepathic connections than ever before. We have come to this planet and this Earth and to talk about this in the past, but we wanted to let you know that this plan is still in motion, that things are very much still growing here in terms of intuition. This is why many of you have been very, very serene, and yet some of you have also been very emotional. Those of you who are very sensitive, very intuitive, have had a lot coming up psychically, almost like it's magnetically drawn to you for you to almost discharge that energy or clear that energy for the collective and for the planet. That is what's going on for mankind right now. So many of you had a large host, a number of emotions coming up over the last week. And many of you were grieving people who had died years and years and years ago. Many of you had pets from your previous lifetimes, pets from the past here, loved ones who passed 15 years ago that you were suddenly sobbing over again. This is because the afterlife is coming nearer, coming closer in frequency, energy, and vibration. And your frequency on Earth is rising up. This is why so many of you were so exhausted this last month, why so many of you felt like you couldn't be fully charged, couldn't be fully energized. The universe was slowing you down so that you could connect to these higher frequencies for a little while. Many of you were unsure how to psychically charge these things through your body. And so many of your emotions started to come up and out with it. This is very important for the human consciousness collective. On the other side of the veil, there is a large energy that is trying to come through to help humanity. This is the energy of love, of kindness, of respect, of joy, and of justice. This energy from the other side is coming in to help clear some of the karmic energies that are sitting on the Earth. And karma really just means the negative cause and effect. And this is because on your planet, in your solar system, there is a large loop and cycle that is being completed at this time. You are nearly at the end of the cycle. And as this cycle ends, as we move into this next year and a half, what will begin to happen is you will begin to have more and more new beginnings emerging. For some, they will feel very profound, very large, and for some, they will feel very subtle, like a drop in a bucket. Like seeds that are being planted, and you are doing so for these youngsters that we mentioned. Many of these youngsters are just beginning to be born now. Some were born in the last 5 to 6, 7 years, and some will be born into the years 20, 30, 40, and 50. These youngsters are incredibly intuitive, psychic, and smart. They will be young beings who you cannot fib or lie to. You cannot hide things to. You cannot placate. You will have to be completely in integrity around them. If you are not, they will know, and they will vibrationally move very far away from you because they will not be able to stand the vibration of disharmony within your field and within certain family, systems that are steeped in injustice, in lies, and in deceit, insecurity and shame, fraud, where people are wearing masks, etc., they will not handle that well. They will simply choose not to stay in it. This is very important to know because these youngsters are here to change the planet. They are here to bring about many of the higher loving lifestyles, to bring about nonviolence, to bring about a life that's much more peaceful, where the planet is cared for and people are cared for, where love is contained at higher frequencies on the planet, where love does not just extend to this family member or that, where love does not come with a bunch of shame and fear and control dramas, which is really not love at all, where love is truly the kindness and compassion that lives in your hearts, where love is tenderness and joy and respect for each other, and respect for life. This is coming indeed, but your next generation that's coming in are the large catalysts for this. Much of what you are doing now, what you're clearing out now and will be clearing out into the next several decades, is part of that shift and that change. So the current cycle that is ending here in this next year and a half, and that you're planting seeds for in this new earth, this new future, this is part of the change. Many of you who are here right now are doing very important work. We're very proud of you. We're very happy that you are here, and we love you dearly. We thank you for allowing us to share our transmission. We will now hand this over to Sam and Erik as they describe what some of the individual guides will be doing to help you at this juncture. Okay, and I just saw them step back. They were in like golden, it was like a golden sphere of energy with golden robes that went all the way down to the floor. I couldn't see their faces, but they brought in this strong, peaceful, loving energy with them. It felt like they were like sunshine in a body, if that makes sense. But it was like very ethereal and sparkly and golden at the same time. So they stepped back fully. And I saw them go back, and it was almost like a door closing, but like a circular door, like when whoop, like a portal of energy closed. So I've got Erik and Sam over here, and I heard tag team back again. I've also got Robin Williams over here. He's been popping in today. So we've got a little, like I heard, hello, my lady, hello, my darling. And he said, hello, with his little mask, of, what he said, Play-Doh. And I was like, not Play-Doh. It's whipped cream, but he put Play-Doh on his face, and he was like, oh, I was like, oh my God. Okay. So it's going to be a fun one today. So what they're telling me is they're like, yo, yo, yo. And he came in with his sideways hat on. So Robin is saying there's a lot of us up here who are trying to help you psychically right now. And it's coming through, lately as like clearing, and he's showing, Yellowstone, it's kind of like the Yellowstone is blowing, like, but it's not like a volcano, but it's like, and he's going, whoa, Nelly, like, whoa there, my girl. And he said there's definitely, he's saying a lot of you guys feel like this right now, and it's like a volcano. And he said, or like this, and he's showing someone crying, and there's like a waterfall coming down. And then the song that came in was Let the Rain Come Down. And he was showing himself dancing and spinning in the rain, kind of like girls do with their arms out, like out to the side. And he's like, ah. And he said, it's a cleansing time. He goes, I'm in my cleansing era. And he put his hand up. Like he's like, and so, and then he's looking at his nails like, And so he said, we're in a cleansing era. It is specifically a time on the planet where we're trying to bring through more of our energy. So there are individual guides and spirits trying to come in, tapping you on the shoulder, going, it's all right, kid. It's all right. And if you haven't channeled Robin before, he can be really, really funny. And he can also be very sincere and tender, when he knows people need it, where he checks in with people and he's like, hey man, you doing okay? It's going to be okay. And he likes to comfort people. So that was something I noticed a really, really, really long time ago when he first started coming through for me. And so what he's sharing with me is there are more of us on the other side rooting for you than you know. He said, we are desperately trying to come through, and he's showing them knocking on the door, and then they're peeking in the windows, and they're like, yoo-hoo. And he's got his his Mrs. Doubtfire costume on. And He's showing me scenes from Mrs. Doubtfire where he was dressing up and he was trying on the different outfits to see which one he wanted to wear as Mrs. Doubtfire, the one where he wears the shawl over his head or the handkerchief over his head. And he's singing and he's like waving in windows. But he said, you guys are in your own little lives, so you're not really like hearing us or paying attention. He said, but we're still here and we want you to laugh. But in order for you guys to laugh, you have to kind of bump up in frequency, which means sometimes you have to cry and get some things out of your system a little bit more. He said, it's kind of like a water fountain. Like, you just let the water out and that's it. Like, just let it come out, let it all, rain. And, it's going to be okay. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to stress. You don't have to fight it. It's all going to come through and it's just going to be, it's just, he keeps showing me, he's like, it's genius. It's genius. It's a perfect plan. It's a perfect system. This is exactly how this is meant to work. And he said, he's showing me bees buzzing around and then he's pretending to be one, bzz, bzz, and he's buzzing around with his little arms as little wings. His hands are little wings. And he said, you guys are like little bees buzzing around right now. You're busy bees. You're going buzzing around in your everyday lives. And he said, and when you guys do this, you're kind of distracted. You can't always like hear and notice what spirit's trying to give you, that we're trying to guide you. We're coming in to connect. He said, but there's a lot of loved ones on the other side where they've made it their mission. They've made it their jobs to come in and help their loved ones. They are so happy that you're trying to connect with them. And he was like, they're delighted, simply delighted to connect with you. And he said, so many of you are feeling a lot of this closer and you're probably, he's like, getting, down in the dumps over things that had happened a long time ago or loved ones that you lost a long time ago. You're thinking about the way things happened, maybe the way someone passed, suddenly feeling all of it all over again, wondering if you could have done something. And he said that it's kind of like you have to wade through all that muck first, and then you can get those messages. And he said it's just an extra clearing and it's okay to be going through it. But he said, let it wash over you. Let it clear the energy for you. And then you're going to feel so much better afterward. You will just know like, oh my God, I feel 10 times clearer, 10 times better, 10 times lighter. And now my creativity's back on and my intuition's back on. And he's showing himself getting in a boxing ring and he's like, here we go. I'm back, man. Like he's jumping around the ring. He's got his like, he's like, dukes up, put those dukes up, man. Kind of like, okay, I'm ready to get back out there. He said, you're going to feel that if you haven't already. And then I've got Erik over here too. And he gave Robin one of those high-low high fives where you do like the top and then you swing your arm down and slap at the bottom too. And then they like did opposing feet and tapped the soles of their feet together like psh. And okay, so Erik is saying like, yeah, man. And he was like, it takes a long time for cycles to complete themselves, but there are a lot of spiritual beings on the other side. And he said, there's also been some beings coming back home recently where they seem like they're coming home at weird times, or like, how could, my loved one have left this earth right now? Why, and he said sometimes some souls are they need to come home because they're supposed to be part of the process. And he said sometimes there is a timing to the way that people pass, and there can be a right time, and sometimes there's not always a specific right way, but there is a right time. And he said, so there are some people that are coming back a little bit earlier than their loved ones might have hoped or wanted. And he said, but just because someone's not living a super long life doesn't mean that they're not still very alive now in a non-physical form, and doesn't mean that they don't still love you. And many of them completed what they needed to do there on life, and it just takes a little bit of shift in their human perception and persona to see that maybe they did fulfill something they came in there to do, and maybe they didn't need as much time on earth to do it. And he said, now it's not an excuse for taking anyone else's life. He's like, there's no excuse for that. That's not a way that spirit plans to kick the bucket. And he said, so we're not excusing that. We're not excusing harming anyone. That's not the type of stuff we're talking about. He goes, don't get it twisted. For those of you who are like, well, you're saying, no, we didn't say that. Don't run away with it. And so he's saying though, but sometimes like some people they need to come back earlier. And he said, so I just wanted to say that because there's been some people where they're like, all these people are going back early and what's going on? And he goes, well, truthfully, people are going back all the time. Like there's people that are coming back home all the time. Everyone's greeted with love, like we said in the previous episode. And for many of you, because you're going through these awakenings and because the shift is happening and it's going to continue to happen, you're going to have a lot more contact with them than you would think. So he's like, playing that song. I think it's from like the 60s, and it's like, so get ready. He's like, it's an exciting time. Ba-da-da-da-da. So get ready. And he's like, he goes, sing it, Allie. And I was like, well, the song keeps playing. I have to sing it. So he said, we just want to tell you guys that because we want you guys to understand. There is a wonderful woman out there. I forget what the name of her podcast is, but you should look her up. Her name is Majana, and she had this beautiful podcast. It was on Audible. And her son, like one of the first episodes I ever heard of hers, was her son had passed. And she had described she's a medium, and she has been for a long time. And when her son passed, she started getting messages from him very quickly. And he was talking to her about, Mom, I had to go back right now. And she was like, why? Why did you have to go back right now? And he said, because I had to come back to get some codes. Mom. I was like, that's very interesting. I've heard this from some people on the other side before. I don't hear it all the time, but I have heard it before. And I've heard other people say that it's come up in their readings. And they were like, have you heard that before? And I was like, I've heard it once before, but it's pretty rare. And they're like, I know. What does that mean? So, in any case, Eric's saying that's just an example. Like sometimes there's some other things that a soul needs to do, and we don't always understand it from a human perspective. So he's saying that with like a lot of tenderness, and Robin took his sideways baseball cap off and is holding it to his chest with his eyes down, like respect. He said, respect, man. Now, and he's like, peace. But now we want to answer some questions as well. But Eric is also just like, hey, hold up. And he said, so one of the things I want you guys to know too is a lot of us, it's our jobs, it's our duty, it's what we love to do. Jobs for spirit are fun. We have spirit jobs. We love having spirit jobs. So for a lot of us, our spirit jobs are to come down here and channel through you and with you. For some of us, our spirit jobs are to help the people who are waking up so that they stay grounded, they get a chance to practice with guides and loved ones and channelers, and they don't feel alone or confused. And he said, so there's more and more of us who are coming down, and there's more of you who are coming up in frequency enough where you're open to this stuff. And he said, so there's a lot of us who aren't just assigned, but we want to come and help you with your mediumship. And there's many guides and teachers and loved ones on the other side who help people with their mediumship. And they'll be some of the first people that you contact. And sometimes there's someone that you knew in life, and sometimes they're not. A lot of times they're not anyone that you knew in life. And he said, sometimes there's some of us who needed to come back a little early because we were meant to be part of the spiritual awakening for someone else. Or it's almost like the opportunity happened that way. So that's how it ended up being. So like, he was referencing like sometimes, say someone has a parent who passes and they're like, oh my gosh, like I miss them so much. They passed, they were only in their 50s or, they were only in their 40s or whatever, but that parent passes and then their child who never believed in this stuff before or was interested in it suddenly is having connection to the parent, and suddenly their whole spiritual world opens up for them because now they're connecting with their parent on the other side and getting signs and messages and dreams and feeling them around. And now that kid is opening up in whole new ways that they never thought were possible, and it changes their life for the better, and maybe they impact other people positively, or are able to do something that they had been meant to do. So he said, so sometimes there's things like that can happen. Not all the time, but sometimes that's part of it too. And the other thing he's saying is, some people are meant to be awakeners for other people. And sometimes the child or the adult or the parent who comes back, their parent or their child that's still left on earth, they start posting about all the signs they're getting. And then all of a sudden, all these other people start going, oh man, that's been happening to me too. I thought I was imagining it, but now that I'm seeing that it's happening to you, and all of a sudden you get all these communities and all these people sharing and all these people talking, and it's lending itself to the collective awakening and to the frequency changing on earth, like little by little, group by group. And so sometimes for some of you, that was part of the deal. That's part of what some of you came here for. And he said, I know certainly that there's some parents who are still on earth where their kids have passed. And these parents, after they took some time grieving, they started posting about some of their experiences and connections and their spiritual seeking process they were having, and their readings they were getting, and the visits from their children on the other side and the messages, and it's caused a lot of awakening and healing for other people, and it's been huge in really important. And that's something we want to recognize too, because that's really hard for a parent to lose a child. But a lot of these parents are realizing, I haven't really lost them at all. I found them in a whole new way. Like, we're more connected. Like, it's still valid that they grieve the physical. Of course we grieve the physical experience, and the physical life, right? But they feel like they know and are connected to these children on a whole nother level. And it's in some cases deeper than the connection or the relationship they could have had on earth. It's not why the child died, but sometimes that, these parents and children, sometimes there's an awakening thing that they wanted to do here in this lifetime. And that's part of what they feel called to do. And it's just up to them and their free will of whether or not they do it when they're actually here. And so sometimes that's part of the role in the job. He's also saying, spiritually, some of us are mechanics. Sometimes our spiritual jobs and what we're working on in spirit has to do with how we passed, or certain things we worked on in life, things we wanted to keep learning about, or that we could come into the spirit world. And after we passed, we could bring more knowledge or innovation, new ideas, sparks of insight and intuition to people who are still on earth, who are in those fields. So, for example, a long time ago, and I won't just say this a long time ago, I know many people now who have lost fiancés and sons and husbands to four-wheeler accidents and motorcycle accidents, and dirt bike accidents. I live in Colorado, so a lot of four-wheeling, a lot of dirt bikes out here. And unfortunately, we're hearing about this a lot. I've done a lot of readings where people have lost their sons and their, very young fiancés or best friends or sisters, twin sisters, or whoever on these accidents or in these accidents. And something that I've seen one or two of them say now is that when they got to the other side and, their moms or their sisters are asking, like, what are you doing over there? They're like, oh, I'm riding my motorcycle up into the stars. I'm exploring new galaxies and I'm sending downloads and images to people down there. Some of them have said, I love the mechanics of the bike. And these people in particular loved working on their bikes. They loved the mechanics. They loved tinkering and testing and tweezing and tweaking and figuring out not just riding the bike, but, like getting in there with the mechanics of how it worked and stuff. And so in their spiritual world, they know so much more about the mechanics now. They know the innovations that are available, and they know if something's wrong with someone's bike on earth. And so what they might do sometimes is they might get down there and they start to give other mechanics ideas and intuitions. They try to send them messages. They try to send them gut feelings like, I think I need to check this part one more time. Like, you know what I mean? Or, I just have a feeling about that. Or, what if we made it safer by doing this? Like, what if we invented that? Right. And so some of them are doing stuff like that. Some of your loved ones are on the other side inventing things, and they're on the other side, testing new things and sending intuitions down. And they're some of the very guides and teachers and loved ones who they work with people that they knew and don't know on the planet who are still alive. And they send, blueprints to things. They send insights and random ideas. They send epiphanies. They send them stuff in their dreams, in their sleep. They send them stuff at their work. They give them hunches. They give them ideas. Sometimes people just plainly see them or hear them or see images in their mind and go, I don't know why I'm seeing that or who's giving that to me, but here we go. They channel through people. Sometimes, if the person's open enough, they can get in there and work through the person's hands to do the exact right thing at the right time to save someone's life, or to write down something important or design something important. So they're working on all sorts of stuff all the time. Sometimes people who did bad things on Earth might come in there. And he said, we kind of talked about this before, so we won't rehash it too much. But he's like, sometimes some of them, they spend a lot of time trying to help people who are still alive who might end up doing those types of bad things too, or harmful things too. And they try to send them love and energy and clarity so that they change their minds and they stop. Or they might actually try to get certain people caught, not as like karma, but more so like to prevent them from hurting anyone. Sometimes they give other people around them hunches, nudges, things like that, so that these other people catch them or report something or, see something, do something about it. So that can be helpful. Sometimes they try to protect people that they see other people on earth are kind of targeting or thinking about targeting. I know some people have told me that they really try to help people who have been bullied, or they try to get in there and stop bullies from bullying. They guide them to books, they guide them to therapists, they guide them to other people to intervene, to sit them down and have a good talk, or talk to them about hey, like, there's consequences for this type of stuff, there's consequences for bullying, there's consequences for child abuse, there's consequences for these things, right? So he was kind of saying, like, spirit kind of tries to help with things like that. And he was like, we help with all sorts of things. And a lot of us have these jobs and these abilities, and it's not just jobs that we're assigned to do. We're not obligated to do a damn thing up here. He said, he was like, we want to do it. We love doing it. We enjoy doing it. So we are excited about the work that we are working with on you guys. Sometimes we give people ideas for books, ideas for TV shows, ideas for scripts, ideas for concepts, and they put it in movies, and those help with the awakening. He said a lot of us are helping with the larger awakening. That's a lot of what a lot of us are doing in our own unique ways. And we work with people that would have known us or wouldn't have known us on the planet. And he said, because there's way more people that can connect to us, they just don't always know that they're doing it. Like, they'll get hunches, nudges, and it's from spirit. We don't care if they know that it's channeled or not. We don't care if they know if it's mediumship or not. It doesn't matter to us. And he was like, but we do want people to be authentic. So if they're authentically getting it and they feel really compelled, like, I just want to be authentic, I want to be who I really am, I need to start saying, like, hey, this is channeled, hey, this was from the other side, hey, I got this download, and I know it sounds kind of woo-woo, so be it. Like, get out of their way and let them be them. Like, he's like, no one gets to say, who's right and who's wrong when it comes to channeling stuff. Like, if this person's channeling something and it helps other people, get the fuck out of their way, man. Like, you know what I mean? If it brings other people love and comfort, get out of the way and let them do their thing. Even if you don't like it, even if it embarrasses you and you think it's weird to channel or weird to be a medium, you know what? Then you go and think that that's weird over there. You go focus, instead of judging other people and worrying about what other people are doing, you go live your life. Stop obsessing on the way other people are living theirs. And he goes, see there, that message is going to help someone today and get them to shake themselves awake, right? And so he said there's a lot of enlightenment that's happening right now. There's a lot of epiphanies. And as we move into the new cycle that's starting, more and more people will be connected to psychic abilities, spirituality, intuition, even telepathy. And so people aren't going to be able to hide from themselves or hide from other people as much. And as time passes, it's going to be harder and harder. So what is going to happen is that more and more of this awakening will cause almost like some disruption for a little while, because people who aren't able to be authentic, who aren't able to tell the truth or be in the truth, they're going to be getting called out a little bit more, because the people who are listening to spirit, who are listening to their intuition and psychic senses, they don't want to be associated with them anymore. They're like, you're not a safe person. You're not being real. Like, you're not being honest. I don't want to be around that anymore. I don't want to be around people that are lying and manipulating, even if it's for their own self-protection. It just feels so bad and so wobbly and so icky. It makes everyone sick and sad for too many people to be in that energy. It's invasive and pervasive. It's like, and then they turn into kind of these like energy squanders, these energy vampires, they don't know how to fill their own cups. So they get in everyone else's shit. And he was like, they feel so bad in their own lives. They try to control other people's lives. And it's like such a narcissistic way of doing it. And he was like, and a lot of it's going to stop, and it's got to stop. And what we're seeing is a lot of like estrangement, even children being estranged from their parents, being done with shit, where they're just like, you know what? I love you. I appreciate that you brought me into this world. But that does not mean it's cool for you to treat me like that. Like, I get that you gave birth to me. That doesn't mean you get to hurt me, though. Like, it doesn't matter that you might have financially supported me. It doesn't mean you get to abuse me. That's called financial abuse, by the way. If someone is like, well, I paid for this and this, or I helped you financially with that and that, now I get to treat you whatever way I want to. That's technically financial abuse, just so you guys know. Like, it feels bad because their behavior is wrong. Like, so just to be clear. So, and he's like, and yeah, and that's one of the things spirit is helping people wake up to. We are giving people ideas to put on social media. We're giving them ideas to talk about. We're getting people to share their stories. We are nudging them and kind of going like, put this out there. Talk about what you went through. Talk about what you're seeing as a therapist. Talk about blah, blah, blah. He was like, that's part of the awakening too. Now he goes, now the other part of the awakening that's kind of fun, and it's just, there's so many facets of this. He's just covering certain things that they're helping with from the other side. He was like, we're getting you all to get outside and get creative, because these two things are really correlated to psychic intuition, and they're really correlated to self-worth and mental clarity and emotional clarity. So like when you're outside, you're more grounded, your nervous system gets regulated just very naturally. And so then you get mentally and emotionally very clear. Okay. And then you're less likely to go hurt yourself or others because you feel clear. Right? You feel you're like alone with your thoughts. You get clear on things. You don't feel so up in your head. You're not fussing, fighting, thinking out all these other things. You just feel good. Like being out in the woods, it's going to make you feel good. Being near the ocean, it's going to make you feel good, right? You're going to feel like more zen. He's showing himself leaning back on the beach with his sunglasses, and Robin's there, and he's got he's got a hat where it's got like that round plastic part that it goes around the head. It's like a band that goes around the head, and there's a part that sticks up, and it's got an umbrella attached at the top of the hat. It's like an umbrella covering him, and then he's got water wings on and like a floaty vest. And sunscreen just on his nose, like really thick white, like and his big flippers. He's going off toward the ocean with his big flippers on and all of that on. And he's showing himself trying to get in the ocean, like like flipping over, like falling in, losing a flipper. And he saw a dolphin swimming underwater, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Sparky." And the dolphin's speaking to him in dolphin language. Oh, hey, Flipper. Oh, hey, Sparky. So Eric's like, back to what I was saying. And he goes, so this is also part of our job, getting some of you guys to laugh, to get outside, to ground, and to take a load off. That's really important. And he said, we're also working with you guys on, he's showing them all with their knitting needles, sitting on the beach, suntanning and sitting with their knitting needles. He said, we want a lot of you guys to get crafty. We don't care what you're creating, but getting back connected to your creativity in any form, it lets your mind kind of go into a Zen mode. It also is good for self-esteem and self-worth, because you're like, yeah, I'm putting all this anxious energy, all this festering energy, this energy I don't know where to put it, and I'm putting it into creating something beautiful, something that won't hurt anyone, something that's loving and is just for me and helps me get Zen as fuck. And it's funny because I've been crocheting, and knitting is my new thing I'm going to be starting, but I've been crocheting purses and trying different styles. I'm crocheting a raffia bag right now. And he's showing people like making art. I've been designing some like stuff as well for myself. And so anyways, he was like, yeah, it's a really fun time to be alive, you know, like there's so many creative outlets. We want you guys using them, and we want you guys playing with them and having fun with them. He said, also, this is going to help you guys build your self-esteem and have new places to build income or create. And it builds your psychic energy. It's a good way to do this. It kind of like locks out all of this other negativity. And sometimes when you guys do things with your hands, he's like, you know, it's like that kinetic energy. Like you're thinking through things, working through things, and you're using your hands. It's really good for kids with like ADHD and stuff. And he goes, a lot of you guys are developing more and more of this scattered brain energy. So doing this type of stuff helps you kind of let your mind go at ease. It gives you a fun creative project to work on. And then your intuition and your psychic energy gets clearer, and your messages and connection to the other side gets stronger. But really, it's more, he said, it's really largely for your self-worth, man, like your self-esteem. And he's putting on a big knitted sweater and it's all wonky. And he was like, well, I like it. I like the thought and the intention behind it. I was like, cool, nice. He's showing people like making music as well, like learning new hobbies. And he's showing someone they're going gray and stuff. And it's a man with glasses. He's going gray, but he's sitting there and he's taking guitar lessons. And he's like, I don't know, I feel so silly. And he's learning from a kid who's in high school. And the kid's like, no, man, you're doing great. Here, so let's try this and let's play this chord. And they're harmonizing. And the guy's like, oh, okay, cool. And the kid's like, see, you got it. Like, and he's just like, so Erik's like, so there's a lot of guides and teachers who are working through different people too, to help those of you who have felt really cut off from your intuition and your creativity. And maybe like he's saying like, a little bit of inner teen or inner child healing goes a long way. Like saying like, hey, I got to give my inner teen what they wanted, or I got to give my inner child some recognition for the interests they had that their peers bullied them for, or that their parents said, like, oh, he was just showing a little boy being interested in fashion and his dad being like, what are you, a sissy? Like that. And they're showing his dad, like looks like it was, I'm seeing like the 1950s on a calendar on the kid's wall. And the guide's like, so now this little boy's grown up and he's getting back into fashion and he's going to New York and stuff like that. And he's picking out clothing and thinking about his dad, and his dad's on the other side, and his dad is kind of going like, I'm so sorry. Pick out the jacket. Let's go. Grab a couple pairs of shoes. That one looks nice. Let's go for it. Like his dad is on the other side. It's making me feel like very bittersweet, like heart in my heart. But it's very tender. And so his dad's spirit on the other side is like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? And is trying to encourage his son from the other side, like trying to rebuild his confidence and going like, no, pick out the tie, go for it. Like go, do this, wear that. Hell, like let's pick out a skirt. Do you like this one? Like, and the dad is dressing up too, but in spiritual form. And the son isn't like as aware, but he keeps getting these like glimpses and these thoughts of his dad, and it feels different than how it felt like when he was alive. So, and they're showing me, they're like, that's real. That's really happening for someone. People go through this all the time. They heal all sorts of things by giving their inner child what they need. And when you do that, we guarantee you your loved ones on the other side are encouraging it. So he said that's part of what we're doing too to help the awakening. It clears out some of that old energy and shame, frustration, and feelings like lack. And, like people like feeling like they have to be having to have creative control over each other. And this energy, this is what's changing, and Spirit's really helping us with this. But this is also this is what's dying out, this is the energy that's fading away. This is the energy that's dying out, because that isn't a way to treat anyone. And like they said earlier, more and more of the kids being born, Erik's like, yeah, a lot of the youngsters born now and being born, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, well, if you're going to be like that, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be associated with this anymore. And he said, not like associated as in like, oh, I just don't want to look bad, but like, no, this doesn't feel right for me. You don't feel like you're treating me right. Or I don't feel like you're treating me right. And I'm just like existing. I'm not like hurting anyone. Like, right. And like my creativity or what I want to do for an activity, an after school activity, or who I want to be as a person isn't hurting anyone. Like it doesn't hurt anyone for me to have different fashion, or it doesn't hurt anyone for me to not want to be in that sport. It doesn't hurt anyone for me to have these interests or those skills and gifts and talents. And he said, these youngsters are here this has always been the case, but we have had a lot of society members who didn't understand this or feel this way. But our kids are here to be who they're here to be, and we're not here to control them. And so a lot of guides and loved ones on the other side are working on that as well and trying to help with that as much as they can. Now, on that note, I wanted to read one or two of the questions that I got, and then maybe next week we'll do another listener question and stories episode as well, just because these ones are kind of connected to some of what we're talking about. Now, Lori on TikTok said, if they drop the negativity when they pass, can they see the harm that they have caused to others? We kind of talked about this last week, but yes, they definitely can. Erik and Robin and Sam and my other guides are all nodding, and they're like, oh boy, do they. And they said, we see it from all angles. We experience it not just from our memory in first person of it. We experience it through your eyes too. We feel what you felt. We see and hear the thoughts that you had about it. He was like, it's awful. We also see it from an observer, third eye view perspective. So yes, they do fully understand. Absolutely. Now, Wendy shared on TikTok, she said, my mom passed suddenly but not unexpectedly to me in March. She clearly and undeniably lets me know that she's all good and far more blissed out than she was here on earth. And that is such a beautiful thing to know, and to be able to have that connection with the loved one on the other side, that they're doing totally fine on the other side. It doesn't mean we're supposed to be trying to exit our physical human lives to get over there. Like your human lives still have value. Erik has been saying that forever. I've heard him tell that to so many people in readings as well. And so have the other guides as well. But that all said, the the sentiment of, and the knowing of, hey, even though this loved one has, made their transition or moved from, their human lifetime into their afterlife experience or returned back home, I know that they're all good, even though that's happened. That's such a beautiful thing to be able to witness. And everyone who passes is okay. Michael said, I miss my wife so much. I talk to her all day long, every day. I get signs most days, but there are days where I'm searching for a sign and did not receive any to my knowledge. Why is this? So Sam and Erik were like, we'll take this one. And they said, so often the reason that you might be getting signs one day and not be getting them the next isn't because you're not looking hard enough or because you're doing something wrong. Sometimes the way that the spirit team is communicating with you can shift in perception. So sometimes they might be giving you a little break, like almost like, hey man, you got bills to pay, like you've got some human things to do. So sometimes they're giving you a little bit of a break, giving you a little bit of a breather to kind of stay grounded and connected to your human life. Like they don't want to distract you from living, right? They want you to still be here and, paying attention when you're driving your car, paying attention when you're reading a book, really immersing yourself in the human world. And they're like showing you sitting on a porch and drinking a great cup of coffee, right? For Michael, they're showing him sitting on a porch and drinking a great cup of coffee and looking out over a beautiful landscape. And it's just ever so slightly foggy and the sun's coming up and it's starting to illuminate and clear the fog. And it's just beautiful. And you can hear all the birds and the crickets and everything. And he's just sitting there with his feet up. And so sometimes, I was hearing the song, you can take a sunrise, sprinkle it with dew, the Candyman. I think it's from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And so they were saying one of the most beautiful things about this is that sometimes our loved ones connect with us in other ways. It's not always through signs. Sometimes it's through moments. Sometimes it's at certain times of day. So sometimes they want to encourage us to be present in our lives. And the more present we are, maybe they'll communicate with us through conversation, like telepathic conversation, where they'll sit next to us and just hold space with us and just give us a big spirit hug and comfort us. Sometimes they'll sit and watch the sunrise with us, and that's how they're connecting with us that day. So we're not seeing other signs. We're just with them instead. And they said, so isn't that genuinely beautiful? Like, isn't that so magical? And they're showing Michael sitting on a porch looking out over this beautiful landscape and the sunrise, and his wife coming to sit with him in spirit, and she's kind of glowing and like sitting next to him and snuggling up with him with his coffee and putting her head on his shoulder. And then Erik and Sam are off in the distance with the guides and angels, and they're leaning on their hands, like people like put their elbows up on a table and then lean down on their hands, and they're all like, like they're watching the two lovebirds, like, isn't it beautiful? So I wanted to share that answer as well. And then sometimes the signs will be really strong and they'll come back and be really frequent, because it's almost like, hey, you might be playing with, and they might be playing with different ways that they can communicate with you. So kind of keep that in mind. They have many different ways that they can communicate, so many different ways. And we've done some episodes on those, but I do teach classes on those as well. And I have like a little guide on that as well that's available. This person sent in a couple of questions. Their handle is BKLC92. And they said, is it true when you pass, you will meet them and feel like no time has gone by? And I looked at my guides and they're all nodding. They're like, yes, unanimously, yes. And they said, time isn't really the same for us. We understand it, how it works in the human world. We are very well aware of how your time is working, where you're at in your point in consciousness and time, etc. But when we're up here, it's like no time has gone by at all. And then they said, can you explain if there's a way to connect with them and get signs or feel their presence? That's a big conversation. So, and we've done some whole episodes. And like I said, I have some guides and courses and classes that I've taught on this. But in terms of connecting, a good place to always start is through waking up early in the morning. When you're still sleepy, like set your alarm to get you up, a half hour earlier, because then your conscious mind won't get in the way so much because you'll be nice and good and in between waking and sleep, like kind of tired. And go and sit and try to just gaze around the room. Let your eyes go fuzzy, gaze around the room, or go sit outside on the porch like they were showing with Michael, and just kind of like meditate and say, okay, pick a specific loved one or a spirit guide, a guardian angel, and say, okay, I'm ready to connect with you. I want to connect with you. Can you come in and chat with me? And see if you have thoughts starting to pop in your head. They might sound like your own. They might not have a sound. Sometimes you might literally hear a voice. Sometimes you might start to get downloads, images, visions that aren't normal for you. And all of a sudden they start to come through. Sometimes you'll just feel a presence. Sometimes it'll be a very back and forth conversation. Sometimes it's like you're just receiving a stream of consciousness thoughts, or sometimes it'll be like you're suddenly getting songs from them or other things. So there's all these different ways that this can happen. Memories might come to mind from that loved one as well. And you might even get spirit smells when they pop in. So pay attention to that, or spirit chills. And the key thing is just notice the way that your psychic senses work best, and notice with each different loved one or guide that you connect with or that you call in, do your same senses pop up? Do they introduce themselves differently? Does one give you chills down the left arm and the other one you feel a hand on your shoulder or a presence to your right side? With one of them, do you get a lot of visuals, while the other one, it's more telepathic? Do you always get a smell of your grandmother's perfume? Like I always get a smell of my great Aunt Corinne's perfume when she comes in. But with my other loved ones, I don't really get as many smells. One of them, I get the smell of tobacco and but I don't really get, as many other smells from all of them. So, so anyways, they're like exactly like, so some communicate some ways and some communicate others more for people. So you can notice that as well, and work on that as well. I would also say too, read up about mediumship and how the other side works and how they communicate. Just learning about how they communicate and learning how things work on the other side often can help you with that connection. It's almost like telling the universe like, hey, I'm ready. I'm interested in connecting. So it kind of opens that door. And often when we read about and learn about the way the other side communicates or connects, it almost can like make us realize, oh wait, some of this has already been happening throughout my life. Is that what spirit connection is? I mean, like super fun. But when I was growing up, I used to have all sorts of visions, and I would see things where I would see how people had passed, and I would see memories from their lifetimes. I didn't know who these people were. I thought I was just had a weird imagination. Definitely didn't. A lot of them I found out later, that definitely was so-and-so's brother. That definitely was this person's friend. That definitely there were certain things where I looked up dates and details and names and stuff like that had come in, and even sketched people in my sketchbook. And it looked like them, and things were verified. So and I didn't know though. I was a teenager. No one had told me about this. No one taught me about this. I was, kind of put out in the dark. And, I thought I had like an overactive imagination. So I didn't know that it was something either. And Google wasn't really a thing when I was in middle and high school. So I didn't know that this is what was happening to me. So that's just an example. Once I started to learn about this stuff much later, then it all clicked into place, and I was like, oh my God, I was connecting with people on the other side when I was young. I just didn't always know that I was. I didn't know that that's what those experiences were. So that's just like an example of how sometimes we learn later, or we read about other people's stories and read about the other side, and then it can kind of connect some dots for us, and that can open the door to more connection. Alrighty. I will come back soon and do more Q&A type sessions where we can do whole episodes on them. I feel like these are really fun. And I might do one or two live Q&A sessions with the guides on Patreon and on YouTube and stuff like that. If you guys are interested, come and check us out in there, join the free Patreon so that you can know when all that type of stuff is popping up. I'm sure that'll be a really fun time. And then of course, as always, I'm on TikTok. I'm Spirit Speaker 25, no periods, no dashes, no spaces, no extra I's, T's, whatever. That's my only account for readings. So just keep that in mind. I do not have any others. No need to message me about scammers and imposters. There's nothing I can do about them anyways. TikTok will not let me, so just keep reporting them, and just know that I will never reach out to you first. So be very careful on there. Don't get scammed. Okay, guys? Nothing I can do about that if you do. I literally have no control over any of that. I wish I did, but I do not. There's not much I can do for you there. Okay. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I mentioned, I'm going to have some fun new things coming out. My mediumship guidebook, with ways that the spirit communicates, some little, printables and downloadables that you guys, can order online. You can buy digital versions of them, and print versions on like print on demand, where they'll ship out right out to your house, or I'll ship them out myself. Those are coming out. I do have my notebooks that can help you, or notepads where you can use a different sheet every single day to record spirit signs and messages and intuitive downloads, and keep track of everything. Those are available as well. And those are print, and they'll be printed and shipped right out to you. So just know I have all that stuff linked up in my link tree, in the show notes, and in my bio. So you'll be able to find all that stuff there and on my website. I also wanted to mention, I just put out my energy guide for the second half of 2026. This covers all of our Gene Keys transits. I felt like it was a good place to just put them all, so that you guys who really like that type of stuff can see and kind of like notice the different themes that are coming up and the opportunities that are coming up from week to week. Especially if you really like astrology, you'll really like the Gene Keys transits. They kind of fit in with astrology. And so in addition, there's a bunch of pages for you to look up it teaches you how to look up your own charts for free. And then you can go through and fill out what your individual gene keys are and which weeks they're going to be in transit through the rest of the year. And I feel like that's going to be really helpful for a lot of people. And I will talk through a little bit more of why in my Patreon groups and stuff for people that are interested. But that guide is available for anyone that is interested. You can either purchase it on its own, or you can join the Channelers and Changemakers tier in my Patreon, the Intuitive Soul Collective Patreon, or you can join the Ascend tier and get monthly readings and classes and the energy guide. And the energy guide is included for those two tiers, or you can just buy it separately. So keep that in mind too. And my intuitive development, psychic development course for beginner to intermediate learners is going to be coming in the fall. So keep an eye out for that. Alrighty, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And keep submitting your questions, your comments, things for Erik and Sam or other guides and teachers. I would love for Robin to come back in. So questions that you guys have for Robin Williams, Princess Diana, other people as well. I'm going to be starting to also do some live streams / podcast recordings as well, where you'll get to submit questions and I'll answer them, or you can join the live stream and ask questions there while they're coming in. So if you have questions on that, or ideas, suggestions, all of that, feel free to send those in. The links are in the show notes. Bye.